Nikki Glaser!
Yes!
Thank you. Why are you here? No, thank you for being here. This is so nice.
Well, this is a kind of a cool time because you're joining us here at Sirius XM, right?
I am. Radio. Because I'm getting older and I don't want to do hair and makeup anymore. And it's a medium in which you can age as a woman. That
is true, is that no one cares how you look, which will affect the rest of your career.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It really is nice. I think so much time for women is wasted in this industry, being in hair and makeup, just sitting and having someone touch your face and not being able to read a script or not being able to write jokes and like to prepare for whatever you're about to do on TV.
Right.
Whereas the men get to just have a little bit of dusting of powder and they can be writing jokes the whole time. It holds us back having to be in hair and makeup. Thank God for it. But
also not having the cameras there, you don't have to worry how you're sitting.
Yes.
Or what, you know what I mean? Like the thought of doing TV, it takes so much longer.
There's so much prep that goes into TV.
Right.
Radio is a dream.
Yeah.
And so this was like getting this radio show was, I feel like I manifested it. Like I just like 6 months ago, I was just like, I want to do radio. I've done it enough on the road. I enjoy doing podcasts. Every time I'm on a show, I just feel fulfilled and like it's a good place for me to be myself. And I've gotten good feedback on it. So I was just like, I just want to do it. And then it happened. I kind of just told them to give it to me.
Yeah, you told them and it happened.
I'm not even joking. I heard they were looking for someone. I probably shouldn't say this, but I heard that they were looking for a morning show on Comedy Central Radio. And I called the guy and just to talk about the opportunity. And he was like, we have a couple people that and I just go, I'll do it. And he was like, yeah, there's a list of people. And I go, there shouldn't be. Like, right. I'm good at this and I want to do it and I'm going to do it. And he was like, he was like laughing, like, I like your moxie, but we'll see. And then I realized like that kind of attitude works.
Yes. It's worked for Trump. That's how Trump
I know.
became...
maybe that was what inspired it. But no, I think it was just knowing that I would be, I've reached a point where I'm tired of being insecure about my talents or thinking I'm not good enough for things. And I think that was so much of my career coming up. And that when you reach the age of 33 as a woman, you're just like, okay, I know what I'm good at. And I know I do a good job. So give it to me.
Yeah. You're also very comfortable giving advice to people and then not seeing how that advice works out. You know what I mean? You just say, here, do this
Oh my God,
with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But we never come back like a year later.
Very confident about the advice I give.
Yeah. And then like a year later, like, did that work out? Oh, no, it didn't.
Probably not.
Right.
No, because no one follows advice is the real thing. No one really, these advice shows, you give them advice. No one actually does it. But I feel like I like giving advice because I like taking advice. I'm not one of these people who looks for a therapist who's just going to go like, well, now what do you think you might do in that? I want them to like literally tell me what I should do. My old therapist, I would just take out my phone and she'd be like, text exactly what I'm about to tell you to text. And I just start writing what she would say. I like being told what to do, so I kind of do that to people.
You would be perfect to be in a cult. That would be that would be the thing for you.
I don't know how it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I really do like being told what to do. It just takes it. There's so many choices to make in life, and I want someone else to make them for me.
Well, what has been a log jam for you? What has been a place that you got to that you felt like you couldn't make an immediate decision on?
Oh man, all the time. I make decisions and then I instantly regret them. So I think that that's something I do a lot of. I think I get excited about a project and then the second that I think about something else, I want to go do that project and I forget about that project. So I think that I think just self-doubt gets in my way. Just being like, I don't deserve this and I'm not good enough for this. And I convince myself by going to other people's Instagrams that they're prettier and smarter and funnier than me and more successful. And that I've joked myself. This is another thing my therapist always used to say, because I think a lot of comedians, you've probably heard this on this show before, is that you just feel like you're tricking people. Like you feel like you're a fraud, that I've got this far because I've tricked people.
I've only heard that from women. Men will say, I feel like I didn't get as much as I deserve.
Oh, that's so true.
Jeff Garland said to me not too long ago, because I know him many years ago, and he was like, weren't you surprised that I didn't become the biggest comic in the whole world? And I said, no. He was so crazy when he was young. I didn't know if he'd make a living, right? He used to walk audiences. And yet his confidence is something. And I notice a lot of women, no matter how big they get,
they still feel like somehow they've outsmarted people and that I'm really not as talented as I've convinced people I am. And I remember saying this to my therapist, and I often say this to myself and to other women. Now that you mention it, it is all women. Yes, all women. That she goes, do you really think you're that good at like tricking people? Like, do you really think people are that dumb? So she flipped it around and made me feel like, to think that you've tricked the system and fooled people into thinking you're talented, you're really thinking they're stupid. So then that makes you go, okay, people aren't stupid. I am talented. And then so I have to tell myself that sometimes. But like I said, the older I get, the more confident I become. But it is a constant struggle being a woman to be confident.
You know what's really funny, and I discussed this with someone not too long ago, I've always thought that you were an edgier comic than you get credit for being, because I think a lot of comics that think they work the edge, you can feel the shock jock stuff coming in where I'm trying to shock the audience. But your stuff, your curiosity goes to a place that makes people naturally more uncomfortable.
Thank you.
I thought your TV show was so uncomfortable the entire time I watched it.
Yeah, that means you're doing something right. Like just listening any kind of, I don't like to get groans when I'm on stage, or to have like some girl just go, ew. That used to happen a lot. And I don't like that you were terribly, like Nathan, for you, I can't ever, sometimes I have to turn it off because it makes me so uncomfortable, but I also recognize that it's like the most brilliant thing on TV. So I do take that as a compliment that you were uncomfortable, but that's not my goal. I think that I was blessed with having zero boundaries when it comes to sex and just things about my personal life that I shouldn't share. I just don't have a problem sharing, and it's not something that I've had to work at cultivating. It's just, I just don't have those boundaries, and thank God for that, because that's where a lot of this comes from.
Sure. But I think that is what the edginess is, because I think most of us are dishonest most of the time, and you're willing to say, I don't know whether tell me about this, or why does this happen, or do you do this too? And sometimes I'll just go, no, stop.
Yeah,
stop.
That's my interest in sex, is that like we're all doing it and we're all thinking about it, but no one, like, we just act like we put on clothes and then we're like, I didn't just go like, we're all making we're disgusting.
Yeah.
So we're doing the most disgusting faces and noises, and our skin's just shaking, and we're just animals. And then we like put on a fucking jacket and we're like, I've never done that in my life. Like, we don't talk about it, and we don't talk about that. Like, talking about porn on stage is so fascinating to me, because I just kind of started watching porn, and so it's opened up this whole new part of my set where I'm just like, we're all watching this. I mean, there's no one who's not. Even if you're not watching it, you're still like kind of curious, and once in a while check in on it. But no one's talking about it regularly, and I think that's just so crazy that we all have this like private part of our lives where we feel alone in whatever we're into, and we feel shame about it. It's mostly just shame that I'm trying to alleviate like people of, because I felt so much shame growing up, and the more that I hear comedians say things where I go, oh my God, me too. Well, not me too, you know what I'm saying, but like it makes me feel, I just want people to feel less alone.
Well, I mean, porn that you could watch at home is still a reasonably new thing. It's only 30, 40. But if you go back to the 70s and 80s in New York, Times Square was for porn.
Yeah.
And horrible, scary, disgusting people would go, and you were able to say, oh, that's not me. And now it's on your phone, so it's everyone. But I still think we think of it as disgusting, horrible shit. So you think it's your little secret.
And it's so fun to talk about on stage because everyone laughs like it's, you know, I was watching that an hour ago.
Yeah.
There's this familiarity, but everyone's also like, but no one's talking about it. But you're right. I think there's still just so much shame about it. And like, you're a dirty person if you go to this, but there's millions of views on these things.
Yes.
You're not the only one watching it.
There's a lot more people going there than HuffPo, but they're not, you know, no one ever sits around at the party and go, so something really interesting on Pornhub today.
And we should. Yeah. You're so right.
Yeah.
But that really should be the dialogue.
You would think, but you would, if someone brought it up, most of us would go, I don't even know what that place is.
No,
yeah.
I don't. Yeah,
because we're Puritans in a weird way.
Yeah.
But we're like pervert Puritans.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I'm a total perv, and I think that if we were all so free about it, I would be a little bit like, ugh, stop. Like I like the fact that it's a little bit naughty to talk about.
You got to keep it taboo to be excited and to be exciting for people to go, oh, I'm doing this thing I shouldn't be doing.
Yes,
that's great. And I say that, you know, my entire generation is coming down one guy at a time, right? We have proven just how fucking, no matter where we were in any industry, we've just really misbehaved and no one has called us on it. And that's sad that that's now coming out to light because I really miss it being white guy time. It was really nice. It was nice for the last
had a good run.
6,000 years.
Yeah.
6,000 years. Anything we wanted, we did until 3 months ago.
Yeah. Listen, you guys are still gonna get away with quite a lot.
Thank you.
You really are.
I hope everything you're saying is right.
I'm not going to tell because I don't have 7 other women to corroborate it.
Right.
Because that's what you need now. You need a softball team of women who this same guy is jerked off in front of.
Right.
Or otherwise you're just trying to ruin his career, whatever, you know, and it's not worth it. But yeah, every single woman has put up with some kind of bullshit like that. And in comedy, especially, let me say this about being a woman in comedy. It's like, yeah, I've benefited from being a woman in comedy because there's less of us, and that's been a good thing at times. I have to admit, because there's people go, oh, women aren't funny. You're the one of so few, and it's just because I have a whole theory about that, and I'm gonna get in trouble for even saying that and not explaining it. So let me get back to that. But let me just say, as a woman in comedy, you have to be cool all the time. And if you're not cool, if you go, hey, don't fucking touch me like that, or don't say something disgusting like that, I was just being funny. Why are you? So you're not funny. And then you're not funny. And women in comedy are constantly feeling threatened by the fact that they're not funny enough. So you gotta be so much cooler than even other industries. Like there's a precedent that you have to put up with this kind of locker room.
So you feel like you've done that many, many times. Stayed quiet about things that are inappropriate, and that's why I want to drive you home today because you're so cool. But there is truth to that whatever these tables are where comedians hang out, they'll say, well, she's able to hang with us.
Oh,
she's cool.
We can list, you and I could list the girls that are good hangs.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that put up with this kind of stuff. And listen, there's a lot of stuff I put up with that other women wouldn't put up with because I'm just not offended by it, and other women would be. So it's you know, every situation's different. I don't think that there's like you can just say a blanket. Like that's the thing that's coming up right now is like every guy's like, well, no, I can't even hug a woman without. It's like, no, you know, if you're being a creep. I'm just so sick of these guys. Now everyone's being like, you can't even compliment a woman on her scarf. And it's like, oh, really? Is anyone being taken down for complimenting a scarf? Stop acting so victimized, you fucking creep. I'm just like, there's a couple dudes that made comments after the whole thing happened was just like, their first question was, do you think they'll ever forgive Louis? That was their first one. Like, when do you think he'll be back? And I'm like, you've got stories against you. You're already planning, like, when can I come back? Like, that's what they want to know. That's what they're worried about.
I think every human male in America is thinking of some kind of defense right now.
Yeah. And you all don't have to. Here's my thing about everyone that's come out. Every name, aside from maybe Al Franken that I can think of, all the big names that have come out, they are assholes to men too in their lives. And not the same way, but these guys can't just contain their assholishness to hotel rooms with their bathrobes. They are monsters to work with for everyone. And so we should all kind of look at who those people are, because this is precedented. Like the people whose names have come out, I'm not going to list them all, but there's as soon as these stories came out, men I would hear say, "Oh, I worked with him on this show. He was a monster." Right. So nice guys aren't doing this to women.
But it's a good point, because everyone knew that Harvey was an anger freak and threw stuff at people. Yeah. But
Matt Lauer,
right?
He did Ann Curry, Charlie Rose. There's precedent on that too, of him not being that pleasant to work with. None of these guys are shocking if you really look at how they treat everyone.
But do you think that for some reason we need that Harvey Weinstein guy in our lives if we want our careers to move forward? Like there's been plenty of people that have let him play that bad guy. And I don't mean the sexual stuff. I mean all the other shit that he's done. And we kind of try to get behind the wake if that's our manager, our agent, or someone producing something for us.
Yeah, I mean, those people make things happen.
Yeah.
Fear is an amazing tactic in this business. And it's so powerful. And it's going to keep working. And those guys are just going to have to pay off more people. But yeah, those people are going to, it's infectious to work with someone you're scared of, whether they just are, you're scared of their confidence or you're literally scared of them. Those people are psychopaths that are the head of corporations. That's how they get there.
And when you went into comedy, you knew at a very early age, I'm gonna have to work with some of these people, and how do I move in and out of this world?
I mean, I worked with some creeps early on, but I never was I've been in a couple positions where I felt weird and awkward. It's never been something that I'm like, it's just part of the job and you just got to do it. I think it's just part of being a person, is you're gonna deal with these people. And I don't think I've never thought of, I rarely think of myself as like a female comic, I have to say. Like I rarely, and more so now I do, and I'm proud to say I'm a female comic, but I've always just felt like a comic. And I think now that this stuff is coming out, it's like dividing us a little bit, but I'm okay with that because I'm proud to be a woman doing this. Well, and let me just say my thing about women doing comedy. I think women aren't funny, and I'm saying quotations for that, because you develop your sense of humor at an early age, like pretty much right out of the gate. And when you're a kid, what's funny to you? Poops and fart, right? That's like the funniest thing when you're a little kid is poops and farts. And little girls making those jokes is so inappropriate. I mean, I remember just being shamed by every adult. Like, girls don't talk that way, but boys poops and fart. You go, yeah, that's silly. Right. We laugh. And so boys from the get-go are positively reinforced to make jokes because the whole basis for their sense of humor is it's okay for them to talk about. But girls can't talk about poops and farts. And then until I saw Sarah Silverman do it, and I go, okay, it's back. I can do it. Yeah. And that really was like seeing her. I was like, oh my God, you can be like a girl and be feminine and make fart jokes.
Well, I think a lot of it comes from in school. The funny kid is always the kid in trouble. And that's also a different thing for a little girl getting in trouble. Yeah, to be in trouble is different. Yeah.
It is different. I remember the girl who won for like our senior superlatives, the funniest girl. And I remember I was not even close to getting that, but I paid attention to it because I was like, I could maybe get it. She was not funny. She just had the biggest boobs. And so when she would laugh or do anything, her boobs would just go everywhere. And so she got funniest because she would just be like roughhousing with the guys and her boobs would go in different directions. And I just remember they just liked watching her boobs jiggle. Yeah. Because she was not funny.
Right.
There were way funny girls that she was friends with, but they just didn't have those kind of tits.
But she was
hilarious
fun.
Tits.
She was fun. Yeah.
She was fun.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So what did it take for you to get on stage the first time? Was that a big deal?
Padded bra.
Was it a big deal for you to say, let me walk on the stage? Because I always think for actual funny people, the first time getting up there is more difficult than it is for non-funny people.
Yeah, because you know that you have it in you, and you know that everything's riding on it. And if you let yourself down, and so much pressure is on yourself to be as funny as you know you are, that if you fail, then you're like, my dream is dead. I think that's true. The first time I went on stage, I didn't like sleep the 24 hours before. I was so nervous. I was in college. It was my freshman year, and my friends. It was the first time in my life people had told me you should be a comedian, and I was so directionless at that point that I was like, okay, I'll try this. And that's when I like Googled it and saw Sarah Silverman, and I was like, yes, I want to just be her. So I just wrote a bunch of jokes in her voice. And then literally like, what would Sarah Silverman say? Because I was a virgin. I like had no experience of life of any kind. So I just wrote a bunch of jokes like she would write about abortions. And then I literally, that was my whole act. And then I went on stage, and I thought I did like 20 minutes, and I'm sure it was 2.5, but I like killed. And thank God for that. But I literally walked off stage, and it was like out of a movie, because I called my dad. And I was crying, and my friend had held the phone during my set so my dad could hear, because I was in Colorado on campus. And I called him, and I remember you remember like what you're staring at when you say something. Like I remember staring at these stairs and just being on these stairs and crying and being like, I know what I want to do with my life. Like I remember saying that. And I'm like, I'm gonna drop out of school. And he was like, finish school. But this is so exciting. And then I went home for summer break, and my dad took me to like the open mic at the club, and I watched the open mic, and then I took the comedy class there, and then.
That's amazing that you had that relationship with your dad, though.
My parents really, I'm almost angry at how supportive they are, because you want that story of like, people said I couldn't do it, but they said I could do it the whole time. Right. And my mom wanted me to get a degree and was like, you'll make a great English teacher. And she really wanted that life for me if this didn't work out. But they were really, really supportive, and always have been, and watch everything I do. And I'm just like, thank God for that, because they screwed me up in other ways, but in that way, they have nailed it since then.
By the way, as soon as you said she wanted you to be an English teacher, I couldn't think of a more horrifying life. Could you? It just seems like talking to a bunch of people who don't want this information.
I was one for a summer, and it was hell. It was awful. And it's just, I'm not one of those teachers that's like, I'm going to get through to you. Like, I just was like, I give up. Then be dumb. I literally said that. I was like, you guys just be dumb then. I was so angry. My sister's a teacher, and I really do think it's the hardest job, because it's thankless, and you have so much work to do outside of it. And it's so hard. And parents now think their kids are like, it used to be like, do your homework. And now it's like, why are you giving him so much homework? Yeah. It's really a hard job. And thank God I don't do it.
I know how quick I'd be. I'll kill a kid. I will fuck a kid up in front of all of his friends.
I would fuck a kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I swear to God, I was teaching high school, and there were a couple boys that would like flirt with me. They were just like charismatic kids. Yeah. And I was like, like I wasn't like gonna do anything, but I could see how it happens. I could see how it happens.
I like to see the people who laugh compared to the people who are horrified. It's very interesting to get things from your view.
No, you don't do anything about it, but you go, oh, this is how it starts.
Yeah. You don't do anything about it this year, but if that was your world for a couple of years.
And you're in a marriage where you hate your husband and you never were popular in high school, and suddenly the most popular boy is into you. It's very, I know this sounds crazy, but you weren't there. Yeah. You didn't see the way Dennis talked to me. That was his real name.
That's even worse. That's even worse.
I'm a real creep.
So, this is probably the only route that you could have taken to success. You were not going to fit in.
I literally, thank you for saying that. That really, honestly, I appreciate that, because I wanted, in high school and middle school, I wanted to be an actress. And then I realized I just didn't have, you have to like really work at it to be good at it. There's so few people who are just naturally good actors. It's a fucking skill that you need to craft. And so I realized I tried out for theater school, didn't get into any schools, and then I kind of got into some theater classes freshman year of college, and I was like, this is not for me. You know, it's just like people talking too loudly and doing monologues into the wall. Like, I was just like, this isn't for me. And so I was like, I remember I didn't even think comedy was a path. And I realized, like, I knew I wanted to be like a performer. So acting to me was like the only thing that I could do. So I remember just realizing I wasn't going to be an actress and being like, well, I'll just kill myself someday. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I was just like, I'm probably going to kill myself because I'm not going to go be a mom. I'm not going to be a teacher. I don't want to if I can't perform, I just want to die. And at this time in my life, I was also like deeply anorexic and on the verge of death anyway. So my life was just completely hell. But I do remember thinking, like, if I can't be, if I can't perform, if I can't be an entertainer, and I can't sing, I can't dance, and I can't really act, then I'll just someday, not today, but someday I'll figure out a way to like end it all.
But that gave you comfort. That made you feel like, okay,
yes.
yeah.
There's an out. I'm still like a person who has those thoughts.
Right.
That, you know, I'm never going to do it because you have to clean your room first before you kill yourself.
Yeah.
You have to. Don't make your mom do that when she comes to collect you. So she's already going through enough. And and my room's always a mess. And so, especially when I'm depressed. So it's like the last thing I want to do. So that really prevents me from killing myself. And I've had depression for long enough that I know, like, the thought has crossed my mind, and I just know the devastation it brings to people. So
Sure.
I also wouldn't do it for that too.
Yeah.
And because I'm a pussy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sorry to get so weird suddenly, but like, this is the thing where I don't have a filter. Like, these are things I shouldn't say, because someday they'll play them when I like have an accidental death, and they'll be like, "Was it?"
Yeah. Or somebody always said, I could have stopped you. I'll be that guy. Like, hey, I thought she was fucking around. I didn't know.
Well, I talk about this openly with my friends, and I always tell them, don't worry, I won't do it without telling you, so that you can put me somewhere. Because I've been I've been suicidal before. I was in a psych ward before when I had anorexia. It was not me who put myself in there or my parents. It was the fucking state. And it's, I don't want to go back to that, but I would go back to it because it's like you're protected from hurting yourself anymore. Right. And so when I have those kind of thoughts, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just tell a friend and I'll end up there.
Yeah. Now, you talk about your friends. Do you only hang out with comedians, or do you have friends from all different walks of life?
I still have friends from high school, but most of my friends are comedians. Yeah. Yeah, but I attract people from I think that there are like comics who just didn't discover stand-up all around us.
Right. So, but you got to be with funny people for
funny
friendship.
And honest, I think is the main thing. But yeah, like I don't know. I need people who get it. I need people who at least know why what I just said was funny.
Yes, exactly.
You know, they don't need to make me laugh, but they need to be able to laugh at me.
No one ever considers that a sense of humor, but that is what comedians are after all the time.
Just someone who fucking gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll be happy enough with that.
Yeah.
So are you at a point now in your career where you're comfortable with everything, or is there like big goals that you feel like you need?
No, I feel now this is good. You guys are going to be like, she just said she's achieved enough. She's going to go any day now. No, I feel like I've wanted to do all I came here to do. Yeah. No, this is turning into the darkest fucking thing. Okay. I've never operated on goals. I don't know. Like I said, I kind of manifested this radio show into happening because it was the first time ever that I go, I want that and I'm going to get it. But if I did die tomorrow, I'd be like, good, I did it. Like I have people who are fans of mine. I feel like I've put out a body of work that I can stand behind. And And if I do die tomorrow, please check my voice memos in my phone because I have like 600 sets on there and someone can make some money off of like unreleased tapes.
Okay.
I'm just saying that. I mean, it'll all be in the note I leave.
Yeah.
But in case, these are all jokes.
Yeah.
No, but I always tell my mom that I'm like, if I get hit by a car or something, like check my voice memos because there's so much unreleased stuff. So I have goals of like putting out more specials.
Well,
and stuff.
yeah, your goals are to be Bill Hicks. Like after you're dead, oh my God,
Yes.
we missed a genius. We had a
we
genius
never
here.
saw her age.
Just sexy pictures for the rest of eternity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what you want. No, that is a thing though. I mean, like aging in this business is not fun. And thank God I am that's my best friend laughing. Thank God I have other things besides just I can be, and thank God I'm funny.
Yeah.
Like I just, this celebrity guy that is like so hot and way out of my league was like really fascinated by me the other day. And I was like, why is he talking to me? Like literally only dates supermodels. But I go, oh my God, my funniness elevates me up like 3 points. And I've never really experienced that before until the other day. And I was like, my personality is like a Giselle.
Yeah.
Like I really do.
True.
I have the Giselle Bundchen of personalities.
But again, that is something that guys know immediately, right? Like every dude knows, like, hey, I'm a funny guy. I should be with the hottest woman.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And women are like, I'm funny, and then I go back to my motel room and write more. You're just like, that isn't why you do this.
It isn't. Yeah, you do it to get laid. Yeah, I think I'm just now reaching a age range of men. Like I'm not going for men in their 20s anymore because I'm 33. Like I'm reaching.
You're like 14. You explain that.
So I'm going for older men, and I think older men appreciate a intelligent, funny woman more so than men I had encountered coming up in comedy who didn't give two shits about whether I was funny or not, you know? And I think now it's paying off, baby.
Yeah. But also I think when people are more comfortable with themselves, everyone else gets comfortable too.
Yes.
The energy that a lot of young people give off is exhausting.
It sucks that your hotness and your level of liking yourself are opposite on the graph.
Yeah.
Because it would be really good to line those two up. You'd be firing on all cylinders, but it's not the way it works.
It doesn't work that way for some reason. When we're at our stupidest, everyone's like physically attracted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I guess thank God for that because I do look at young girls and I'm just like, I don't want to be back in that. It was kind of hell. It's still kind of hell.
Yeah, it's a hard race to run. You're running that race every single
I just took Instagram off my phone. I just can't take hot people anymore.
Right.
And I'm not a bad looking lady, but I just can't. I can really make myself. It's like cutting looking at Instagram. Sometimes you can really just get yourself into a rut. And I think it's really healthy to cut hot people out of your life to cut. That too.
Well, it relieves that stress, that pressure. Oh, God, that feels good. Oh, my thighs. All I can think about is how much my thighs hurt right now from slicing them. I don't know if I need a
way
stitch.
too much about this.
Yeah. Well, I've talked people into it. But I'll just give it a nick. See what happens. It's crazy. Yeah. Crazy. One of the uncomfortable things from your show is when you would put your friends on a lie detector and then also your parents on a lie detector. And I thought, what kind of person would do this?
Someone who is talked into it by her writing staff.
Yeah.
Weeks before, and it doesn't seem like it would ever really happen. And then you get there the day of the taping and you're sitting across from your dad and you're looking at the questions in front of you. And I rarely get uncomfortable doing stuff like it. It takes a lot. And that was really hard to hear my dad say that he's heard me have sex. Like that was, I hate it even now saying it.
Yeah.
It's so gross to me. So it was really, like I said, I'm lucked out with those two. They were so cool and so funny on my show. And my mom has a segment on my new show where she calls in and just gives us celebrity gossip, which she just like has a vague understanding of. And they're just so funny and cool. But yeah, I don't know why I did that because I get talked into it by people who go, Nikki, it's going to be funny. Like,
Right.
like I did a segment on my show, and someone just this past weekend was like, I loved that segment where you guys redid guys' dick pics, and we put their dicks in these we made dioramas, and we had holes in the dioramas, and so the dick would look like it's like in a bath with little cucumber glass like things on. But okay, so the night before we went and filmed that, we had all these dioramas, and the art department was like, well, how are the dicks going to get in? Because some of these holes are kind of precarious, and you would need to like, your whole hand can't go around the diorama to pull your dick through. So these men will need help. And my showrunner, I remember, was just like, well, you guys are going to do it. And they were like, that is not part of our job. We're not doing it. And so I was like, I mean, I guess I'll do it. And it took it to a whole new level of disturbing that I didn't even think. And these guys were some of the guys who volunteer via Craigslist to be on TV, putting their dicks in dioramas, are weirdos.
Are they? Are they odd?
But they were so weird, and they would like give too much eye contact while I was doing it. And there was one guy that was a porn star that was like just very proud, and they were all warming themselves up, you know. And so it was the grossest day. We came home from that day, like we came back from that shoot, and the whole staff was just like traumatized. Like it was really like we had been through a trauma together. And in one scene, you can even see it I go, I'm a doctor, because I just had to feel like I had to hold a dick and put little cucumbers on this dick, and I had to put a shower cap on it. It was so insane.
Show business. That's show business.
But this is all just on paper. It sounds so goddamn funny, and then you do it, and you're like, I'm handling dicks. Like when in my life did I think they was? And then there was, we did a video where I went to a foot fetish party, and for the sake of humor, I gave a guy my foot and let him massage it, and he got a boner during it. And
slowly,
yes.
Yeah, it didn't happen
he was like, I'm getting excited. Yes, very, very slowly. And I was just like, we're done here. Like it, but I didn't see that coming.
But
I should have.
Was that your feet that you were showing on?
Yeah, that was the bravest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It really was.
I don't care. My feet are really, really gnarled, and I'm going to get them worked on right after this. I'm so excited. I have bunions that make my feet look like they're like just Google Nikki Glaser feet, and you will be, it's so gross. So I have really bad bunions, so it felt really good to have the massage, but that guy like got turned on by them, and that was the bravest thing I've done, was showing my feet on TV.
Particularly, it's one thing to show it on TV, another thing to show it to people who judge feet.
Yeah,
you know
that guy was really grossed out by them.
And he was just like,
he was horrified. Yeah.
Ooh, and that was the strangest part of that.
Guy was, but there's some guys who are foot fetish guys who are into bunions, and that's...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, sure.
I get them every time I do a video on Instagram or a live thing. There's always these guys that come into the chat being like, show us your bunions, and they write it, they're like, oh, give me those bunions, and I'm like, what freak?
I always say there's someone out there for you. You just keep looking.
I know. That's what I want. I would love a guy who gets off on my gnarled vulture toes.
But that kind of stuff, again, funny on paper, but then you have to do it. You have to put it on TV.
And that's the thing about TV, is like there's so much money and production and people that are working behind this idea. So you feel a certain pressure to do it. It's like when you're, we've recently been hearing a lot about women who have sex that they don't necessarily want to have because they've gone through the whole night, and he bought the dinner, and now you're naked with him, and you're like, it's too much to get out of this, so I'll just do it. Yeah. And that's how it feels sometimes doing stuff for my own show. There was like, we've spent too much money at this point, and I need to go through with it for the greater good. And that's why I love stand up, is because it's up to me, and no one else is making. No one else has sacrificed anything for me to tell a joke.
Right. And also with stand-up, it doesn't hang around forever. You can try something without it being there forever.
Forever. And that's the thing about podcasts and radio. And like, I do worry about that. I need to like make a list of things I will and will not say so that I really stick to it, because that's the danger of being on air for 2 hours a day, is just saying things you regret. I've already said things I regret during this.
Sure.
That will come back to haunt me. And I'm already like, God damn it.
Yeah. We're going to edit this. We'll give it to your lawyer. Go through everything
that's
that
too
you
laborious,
need to do.
and then I'll just want to chop it up to death. So I just go, just do it.
That is the key, is don't listen to your old shows and don't read the internet about what people think.
I never
and you're
do.
Free.
I don't read a single. So you miss all the good stuff, but but even the good stuff, you can find problems with it.
Right.
You know, where it's like, you know, they just people saying like, I thought you were really great. And you're like, well, did you have to say I thought?
Yeah, right.
Like other people didn't. That's what people love to say after shows. The table in front of us were horrified. Yeah. You should have. We were watching this woman the whole time because she hated you. Yeah. But we loved it. It was just like that. Now I can only think about that woman.
Well, I get that way here. There's so much of the room laughing, but a certain part there's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I keep I look over, I'm like, I think she's doing well. No, not at all. Okay, we'll keep swinging.
No,
we'll keep trying.
I'm always aware of who's not laughing, but I never. People's like a lot of times comics are like, oh, did you see that woman? And she just stared the whole time. And I try to just like block them out, because if I stare at them, then I feel like they feel pressure to laugh. And sometimes you just don't want to laugh. And sometimes you are having a good time and you just don't know.
Don't show it.
You're Russian or something. I don't know what your thing is.
That would be great. You're probably a Russian. That's what it is. I've figured it out now. There's a Russian here, which is great. We're all coming together. But you have no plans on slowing down on the stand-up because you're committing to 10 hours a week of radio?
No, that's why I moved to New York, was because I was going to do the show in LA, and it had me being on air at 7 a.m. and I was like, well, then I won't do stand up at night. So I moved here.
You moved to sleep in 3 extra hours.
I literally did. So I could do stand up at night. Thank you.
You know what is funny? Like, to most people, moving would be this traumatic thing to happen.
Yeah.
But for you, the sleep was
it was so worth it. It was a no-brainer. As soon as I figured out the time change, and I was like, wait a second. Yeah. Would you guys be okay with me doing it in New York? And they were like, yeah, we'd love it. And I was like, done. And so I was so excited. It was such a traumatic move.
I think of you as more of a New York comic.
Thank you.
Than an LA comic.
Yeah, I found my rhythm in LA, and I was like, a lot of people say you can't find stage time. I'm lucky enough to be at a point in my career where I can get on stage when I need to. And so I really do like the LA scene, but here it's just I think you get better faster because everyone here is so goddamn good and working so hard and hustling, and there you can kind of just like, I'm just going to mess around on stage. Here, you're like, oh, I got to have jokes.
Right.
So you're forced to just write a lot and do it a lot. And I'm addicted to it. Like, I won't ever stop, not because sometimes I hate it and I still do it. But
it is funny because people go, oh, you should fool around on stage. But you went on a Wednesday and you're following, I don't know, Keith Robinson or something. Yeah. You're like, no, I'm not going to look embarrassing.
Exactly. No, I have you following Dave Attell or Keith or Greer or, just these legends. You can't let down your guard. And that's what makes you better, is just, that's why I bring out my co-host, who's going to be on my co-host for You Up, my radio show, is Tom Takar. And he's a young comic I've brought on the road with me for 5 years now. And he's so good. He's hard to follow. And that's what I like him, because first of all, the audience is going to see a great show, and because it makes me want to work harder. So,
well, we were also talking about like the thing of women comics, and it is because it is harder to go out on the road as a single person for a woman, because just the natural physical dangers of the planet.
Yes.
But
the planet.
I don't want to just blame it on America.
The tundra is just more difficult.
But,
for a woman.
it was like, a woman wouldn't be traveling west in the old fucking West State. You know what I mean?
No,
and
it is.
Still
I don't know
dangerous.
any other experience. So for me, it's just like, it is what it is, you know? So I don't know that it's harder, or I don't know what a man's experience on the road is. But I do know that I would just a thing to put out there. I would like to be walked to my car a little bit more and walked to my condo or my hotel a little bit more. People like to just think you're just, it's not a bad thing to assume a woman wants some company to get from point A to point B. And I feel like as someone who's been on the road a lot, like that is often overlooked as a comic. But I don't know any other experience, and I don't drink anymore. So that cuts down on my, the threat out there, because I think that I would often end up in situations and at people's houses and out with the wait staff where I didn't know anyone and I don't know what part of town we're in. And now I just go to bed after shows and eat in bed.
But back then,
a lot of food in bed. It's my drug.
But back then you'd be like, hey, this is great, we're partying, and all of a sudden, oh, this is weird.
Yeah, you end up in some places. One time I was in Tampa and this girl's dog attacked me and like bit my face, and she was angry at me about it. And then she was a waitress there, and then the rest of the week she wouldn't talk to me, and it was just stuff like that happens where you get bit in the face by a server's dog.
You know what's funny is like anytime that you hear an edgy, weird story, Tampa is the location. There's not a time that it isn't Tampa.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird there.
Yeah. And people are like, you know, I was at this white supremacist party. You just go, Tampa? Tampa, right?
You were there? And you go, no, I just know it's Tampa.
That could be literally a game show of like shit that happened in Tampa.
Yeah. It's Florida, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, but so beautiful.
It is.
It is so beautiful.
On the edges. On the edges.
Yeah.
As long as you can see the water, you're like, this is great.
Yeah, it is.
As soon as you get inland, any amount of time, like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I play a lot there.
Do you?
Great people.
Yeah.
No, I've played a lot there recently, and they were fun shows. But yeah, it's that just getting that has really made it less exciting and less threatening on the road, is just being sober.
Yeah. Now, did you give it up for a reason, or did you think?
I gave it up because the hangovers were so terrible that I wasn't able to function, and all the people whose careers I was like, I wish I had that, or I want that for myself. They were all people who had gotten sober, so I was like, there's something to that gives them an edge.
But you know, I agree with you. I think it's better to have gotten sober than to always been sober.
Yeah.
I despise those people.
I mean,
I like people who are like, I should be dead right now, but I'm doing well because I quit.
I know. I'm friends with a lot of people who've just always been sober for whatever reason, religion, or just not being able to let go. But it's definitely a control thing, and it says a lot about a person when they've never done anything.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm keeping my eye on you.
Yeah.
And they're usually like a dry drunk, where it's like they act like an alcoholic, but they aren't one.
That is true,
They just haven't ever had the sauce, but they would be a monster if they did.
By the way, that's one of my favorite things is when you change into that tonality right there.
Thank you.
That will make me laugh 100% of the time.
Oh my God, I didn't even know I did it.
Yeah, you do it every once in a while. It's just like, give it to me. And I'm just like, where did that come from? So you're going to keep your weekends free to hit the road and do stuff that still plan specials. So
yes, it won't stop coming. Yeah.
So you'll never have a day off from this point on.
I really don't take days off. I was just talking to my friend about that. I was like, I need on days where I travel. Like I had a terrible travel day yesterday that was supposed to be 3 hours. It turned into 9. Yeah. And I had sets last night and I canceled them, but I felt bad about canceling them. So I just need to but I need to be doing it every night, because what else do you do then?
Sure. But you know what? This is a good point, is like, as much as everyone wants to travel, any kind of traveling is horrible.
Oh, it's so...
trains fall off the tracks now. There's nothing but discomfort before you get to that place that you want to be.
When I see families or old people traveling, I'm just like, no, why? If I had families, I'd be like, people are coming to us, and when I get old, people are going to come to me, because traveling is so hard with youngsters, or when you're just older and you just don't like.
Everything hurts while you're
and then you have to take off your shoes. It's awful.
Maybe it'll be the virtual reality thing where you'll just put on a helmet someday.
We will get to that by the time I'm old.
Then you're Hawaii.
Yes.
Then you're Hawaii. So you brought up like people that you said they were sober because, and then you thought you wanted to be. But is there a class of people that you kind of see yourself traveling through this business? Whether there's certain people that are like, these are my actual peers?
Yeah, I feel like there's I don't know, it changes though, but I think that there's probably like 50 people I could name that I feel like those are my peers. And some of them are as successful as Amy Schumer and as unsuccessful. I'm not going to name that person, but you know what I'm saying?
You know what? I will, because he's here. Pete Lee, everybody. Pete Lee is here. And
right.
I mean, everybody wants to be more Amy than Pete, but we might have more Pete in ourselves than we know.
No, it's I've like across the board, but like I feel like my main I met Amy and Rachel Feinstein and Lizzie Cooperman, and I have like a group of really strong female comic friends, Sabrina Jalise, who I met early on, like on MySpace. Amy and I met each other, and so it's cool to see some friends become Amy's and some friends become Pete's.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're laughing because Pete Lee is very accomplished.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He goes on the Tonight Show and they dive at him.
It
the
was
audience
insane.
is
It's so gross. It made me angry. The way he killed it made me like
just see
furious.
The entire audience explode, jumping up.
Yeah, it was. He is hosting the Tonight Show now.
Yeah, see,
they gave it to him.
Jimmy is not feeling well
after seeing Pete kill so hard in his own room,
and made it look easy. That's what was hard for him. But that is also, that can be brutal to have that kind of fast moving, class of people. You're like, oh, they just keep going and going.
Yeah, that was, I get asked about that a lot with Amy, especially because people know we're friends, because I like tell people all the time, and I just remind people. One time, like I literally do this a lot though in LA. So there's like those TMZ tour buses that are just looking for celebrities, and sometimes I'll just wave and like tell them my credits because I'm like, it's something. Those people might not see anyone, and I'm someone. If
you yell out your
I
credits.
really will, because I just want them to feel like they walked away from that tour with something, because if I would have come to LA with my family and gone on one of those star tours, at least I would have been excited about someone of my caliber.
Yeah.
Not that I think that I'm anyone, but like it's just something to give them. But one time I was shooting on the street, I was shooting a man on the street thing for my show, and the tour bus came up and they go, I go, I'm famous. And they go, who are you? And I go, I'm friends with Amy Schumer. Click. They all start taking pictures. It was like the most famous I've ever felt. But I will say that it is it's not that I've never felt jealousy or envy, or I don't know the difference between those, so I just throw them both in. I know that there is a difference, but I'm not going to look it up. And and I feel that for so many people, mainly women, because we're pitted against each other, and I freak out about who's getting what and why do they get this and I'm not getting this. But with Amy, it's never felt that way because she's so generous and has also like she's paid it forward to so many people, including myself, that that cliche of her success is my success legit is my success. Like sometimes people bring me up on shows because I'll drop in on a show or something and they'll be like, we have a special guest coming up. You've seen her on Inside Amy Schumer and Trainwreck. And I'm like, people think Amy's here. I think Amy's here. All my credits are her credits.
My God.
And then I get up there and they're like, what? I go, I'm disappointed too, you guys. I thought she was here. So she's someone who like, I'm just like, it's been good to see a close friend who I came up with achieve that success, because first of all, I see parts of it that I don't want in terms of like being that famous. And so it kind of brings it to life a little bit more for me, as opposed to just being like, wow, someday everyone will know my name and I can go anywhere and people want pictures. And it's like, that's kind of hell.
Right.
It's kind of, it's lonely. And not to say that she handles it so well, but I just look at that lifestyle and I think I don't know that I would be able to handle it that well. So I'm pretty comfortable with mine.
So this, because if you did have that kind of fame and things started to get rough, you could always kill yourself. And
Yes.
you've known that
I do
for
know
a long
that.
time.
It's comforting.
You are so funny. Thank you so much for
you
being
so
here.
much,
Nikki
Ron.
Glaser,
Thank you.
everybody. Nikki!
Thank you for being here.
Yay! Thank you.